Joining us now for more is Florida Congresswoman Cammack. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being with us. We know your state knows how to deal with these types of storms, but we also know there are a lot of people who have moved from other states to Florida who have not been dealing with this. Talk to us about, are folks ready and prepared?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And as the meme that is floating around says, Jim Cantore is now in Florida, and for all the new Floridians out there, he's going to be helping them as they go through initiation.
Right.
But we are used to this type of situation and event. Typically, if it's a Cat 3 or lower, people will stay relatively calm. But we know from experience to take a Cat 3, Cat 4, and now that we're on the verge of a Cat 5, this needs to be taken very seriously. First and foremost, we have got linemen and first responders repositioned all over the areas that are going to be most affected. And that's in large part due to the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis. And of course, we've had so much help from around the country. So a huge shout out and thanks to all the states that have sent mutual aid, both in the form of National Guard, linemen, resources. The American Red Cross has done a great job. We are ready. And so at this point, it's now just hunkering down and waiting out the storm. The entire state will see effects of this, including all the way up into my neck of the woods, both on the coastal side where Cedar Key will see a spring tide,
right.
Have that storm surge come in, looking at 3 to 5 feet, but also on the east side of the state where Jacksonville, you have the St. Johns River, which is one of 2 rivers in the world that flows north. They are evacuating that area because that storm surge and those rising levels will flood out those communities all the way from Putnam County, St. John's, up into Duval and Jacksonville. So everyone's on guard, everyone's preparing. And if you haven't evacuated, it's time to hunker down, be safe, be smart, and keep our first responders in your prayers.
Yeah, we just had Byron Donalds on, your colleague who represents the 19th district to the south. That's where Fort Myers is. They could take a direct hit. He said it's too late to evacuate right now. You talk about all these barrier islands on the coast. It's too late. The bridges are closed. You got to hunker down and stay where you are. A lot of people in the Tampa Bay area, Congresswoman, evacuated I'll tell you, when a hurricane hits that area, they go to Orlando, they go to Ocala, they go to Gainesville, your district. And now it looks like the storm is going to go right up the center of the state. So the 3rd congressional district could take a pretty good hit as well. How concerned are you?
I am concerned about the rainfall. We are very saturated across the entire state already. So even though we have a sandy soil, the sandy loam soil that will drain out pretty quick, we have so much rain that we've sustained for the last several weeks and months that any amount of rainfall is going to increase the risk of flash flooding. I know in my own neighborhood, we had a 4.5-foot standing lake that made it so that my neighbors had to kayak across the road in the last hurricane event that we had not too long ago. So the areas that have been saturated by rain, that's going to be a tremendous risk for folks. They need to be aware. Just because you're in Ocala or Gainesville or Orange Park or other parts of the northern central area, that doesn't mean that you are going to be immune from a hit in South Florida. The rain and the flooding is going to be a risk. So make sure you have a plan. Make sure that you have enough resources, food, water, batteries. You've made a plan for your business and your pets that you can stick to, because if this goes down the way that we're anticipating, first responders are not going to be able to respond to those areas that are under mandatory evacuation. And as the wife of a first responder, I can tell you how frustrating it is when people who have had ample warning, they've been told to prepare, they don't, and it puts other people.
I didn't realize that. Congressman, what's your husband do?
So my husband is a fireman and a SWAT medic. He is 16 years in Gainesville Fire Department, and he's the first one that's out there on the streets helping our linemen cut down trees, get them off power lines, rescuing people who are having medical events. We've seen this event before, and it's very, very dangerous. He drives the fire engine, so it's very dangerous in high wind situations when he's responding to people who are having emergencies because they didn't evacuate.
Well, Congresswoman, you're in good hands there with Governor Ron DeSantis. They've surged more. I just thought this was a fascinating number. Right now on standby, a record 30,000 line workers and power grid workers are on standby for Florida Power and Light and Duke Energy, just waiting to get the power back on. And the National Guard also on standby. But we're thinking about you, your husband, and everyone in Florida, especially over the next couple of days. Congresswoman Cammack, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.